Spider-Man No Way Home is not the best Spider-Man film. It's not the best multiverse film, and it's definitely not the best Spider-Verse film. The major problem that I have with this film is the plot, more specifically, the conflict. This film manages to make fans' wet dreams come true, but at the cost of good storytelling and character development. Now, to explain it further, I'll have to take you back to Spider-Man Far From Home, the film which directly leads us into Spider-Man No Way Home. In the second Spider-Man film, Mysterio tricks Peter into believing that Mysterio is a multiversal warrior and he's fighting the elementals. But when Peter finds out the truth, Mysterio tries to kill him, and by the end of that film, Mysterio has revealed Peter's identity to the public. Spider-Man No Way Home opens right where Spider-Man Far From Home left. The ending of Spider-Man Far From Home set up a really interesting premise, that Peter now has to live with the consequences of being Spider-Man. But in the sequel, it's resolved rather easily. Matt Murdock takes care of the legal stuff, and people are not that hostile towards Peter. The biggest conflict up till that point is Peter and his friends not getting into MIT, which is further resolved by a simple conversation. All of these conflicts could have been handled in a much better and interesting manner, but these stories are sidelined in the favor of fan service and multiverse. After the spell of Doctor Strange is messed up, characters from different timelines and universes start popping into the MCU. In really good movies like Inception and Groundhog Day, we are not really concerned with the working of the dream machine or the time loop respectively. We are invested in the story. But this cannot be said about Spider-Man No Way Home, as for one, it tries to get away with a lazy and inconsistent explanation of the multiverse, and two, Marvel is building up the multiverse in phase 4, so it cannot just be a rushed plot convenience. Norman Osborn and Doc Ock are brought into the MCU from 2002 and 2004 respectively. But we see only one Peter Parker played by Tobey Maguire, and Tobey Maguire is old, so the timelines don't really make sense because there should have been two young Spider-Men played by Tobey Maguire, according to that logic. This moment worked for me in the theater because at that time I was invested in the experience, but the more I think about this film, the worse it gets, and that is not a sign of a good film. When Peter finds out that these supervillains are from different timelines and they die in their respective timelines, he wants/is forced by Aunt May to fix these people. And there is so much wrong with it. Remember when I said Peter was betrayed by Mysterio, someone Peter thought was a friend, and Mysterio actually tried to kill him? That should have given Peter major trust issues. But for some reason, Peter is so sympathetic towards these new characters, these people who he has just met, who also tried to kill him. Why do you want to save them? Because that's what heroes do? Well, is that what you felt when Mysterio lay dying in front of you? No. And in order to save them, he traps Doctor Strange in the mirror dimension. The only person who has any fucking idea of what's going on, Peter traps him in another dimension. That's not what heroes do. But check this, I have saved the dumbest move for last. Peter takes these supervillains into the apartment he's staying at. Peter, Aunt May, and 5 fucking supervillains. This move is so dumb and so out of character that my eyes just rolled back into my head. If Peter is set up to be a successor of Tony Stark, why does he not learn from his mistakes? Why does Peter think he can trust people from multiverse again, when in the last film, he was betrayed by someone who claimed to be from the multiverse? Now Peter's move leads to a very cool action sequence and the death of Aunt May. Aunt May's death is Peter's fault. And more than Peter's, it's her own fault. And it's made even worse by the fact that all of this could have and should have been avoided by Peter. And the worst part of all of this is, we don't even get to see what happened to the characters that Peter just saved. Did they make things right in their own timelines? Did they live a good life? I don't fucking know. Spider-Man No Way Home gave us a really stupid Peter Parker, a senseless and inconsistent multiverse, and makes a bitch out of Doctor Strange. I mean, fan service is fine and all, but if it comes at the cost of a good story, then I don't think it's a good idea. Now, this is another problem I have with Marvel now. It tries to push the hero narrative by making a bitch out of adult and experienced superheroes like Stephen Strange and Scott Lang, only to have them lectured by teenagers about what it means to be a hero. With the latest trailer of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, my fear about the hero narrative is actually at all-time high. Because in the trailer it seems like Spider-Man 2099 is telling Miles to make a choice, but Miles wants to save everyone. I really hope Across the Spider-Verse does justice to this story, because its predecessor, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, is actually what I consider the best Spider-Man and best Spider-Verse film. And I wouldn't be able to accept that film's legacy to be ruined.